Garrett J. White, the authentic entrepreneur, coming at you real, raw, and relevant, my friends. And this is the Business Breakthrough. And today, we're going to talk about marketing. Particularly, we're going to talk about a strategy found in marketing. Now, yesterday's episode, we talked about what? Patterns. Remember that one? Okay, if you didn't watch them, go watch them and you'll know what I'm talking about. But we talked about patterns and rituals. Well, one of the ways that we can get marketing into a messageable stream with other people is to what, did I say messageable? I think I just made up a new word. Look that one up on the wiki and see if it's a word or not. I don't know. But here's the deal. One of the ways that we can get our message in front of other people is to interrupt their patterns. But one of the ways we do that is by first identifying the patterns that they're in. Let's use an example. One of our students has a passion about this idea of solving porn addiction for Christian men. Okay? Well, it seems that there are a few other people out there who have a passion for solving the same problem. I haven't found nearly the same number of people who are passionate about solving a porn addiction as I am about the number of people who are committed to creating porn addiction, and thus the results would show that porn addiction, or the people who are trying to create porn addiction, and the people who are trying to dissolve porn addiction, that the dissolvers of porn addiction are losing to the people who are creating porn addiction. Whew, that's a lot of porn conversation. So in that space you're trying to solve the problems, and one of my friends, Tony Lister, built a site, Cure the Craving. One of the things we started talking about was, how do you take this nonprofit and market to people who are in the porn conversation? Well, what we started first doing is started going to churches, and we started going to government, we started doing all these things, and we realized a lot of people didn't want to talk about porn. It's kind of an interesting thing, right? So porn's everywhere around us. It's all over the world. It's all everywhere, and consumption rates are at an all-time high. And Tony's totally frustrated. He's going, why won't people want to talk about porn?
Now, maybe you want to talk about porn, maybe I want to talk about porn, but most everybody else would want to talk about porn. But the kind of porn I'm talking about is not the kind of type of porn we're going to talk about go watch and consume porn right now. We're talking about solving the problem of porn.
Wow, that was fast. Okay, so here's the game then. We started brainstorming what are some ways that we could get to the target audience that he was interested in talking to, and who we wanted to talk to was men who were engaged in porn addiction. Well, do you go find them in church? I mean, imagine this. You walk into church, you stand up at the pulpit in your church, you give a sermon, you ask the pastor, you say, could you please sit down and give me a few minutes? So you stand up at the pulpit and you go, bam, bam, bam.
Listen, I need all men in the audience who are currently having problems with porn to raise your hand.
Probably not going to happen this year, right? Or this decade, for that matter. You imagine the fallout from that, walking into churches and telling people to raise their hand about who's looking at porn? I mean, what do you do when you turn around and the pastor raises his hand too, and you're like, oh my hell, the pastor's looking at porn also, which actually pretty high likelihood, 34% of pastors, according to my friend Tony Lister and the research they've done, are actually having active problems with porn. So, nonetheless, how do we interrupt this? So we started looking at it and we said, well, where do men go to look at porn? Well, men go to look at porn, not offline. They're not walking around and looking at women up and down the street or peeping through the windows. That's a minority of people who do that. Strip clubs, etc., though, that was another place you could go, but you know, that one was a little more evasive. So we said, what could you do to interrupt the porn pattern? Well, the porn pattern starts out pretty simple. People go online, they click, 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 and next thing you know, bam, 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 they're looking at porn. So we're like, what if we could find out what the patterns were for people online? And we could take curethecraving.com and his nonprofit organization, we could interrupt the pattern of the porn users. So what we started to do is we started creating some ideas like Porn Posse, Porn King, etc., and all these different things, and we found an organization who was already doing this. And this was an organization called XXXchurch.com. Go check it out. XXXchurch.com. And what they figured out was, instead of trying to go to the places where people don't want to talk about porn,
People don't want to talk about porn.
go to the places that people want to talk about porn, and XXX Church started advertising click ads amidst the middle of all the porn ads. Imagine XXX Church to the idea of a porn user, and having had porn addiction myself for a number of years and going to recovery classes in order to deal with it. One of the things I can tell you for certain is that's a link that you're gonna what? Click on. And sure enough, XXX Church has found a revolution in being able to dissolve porn addiction simply because they found an ad and they placed that ad in the middle of the current pattern, but they used a naming process that what? That would attract the type of client they're using. Now, you may not look at porn, you may not know anyone who looks at porn, you may not even believe that porn exists. But nonetheless, whether you believe porn exists, you have a problem with porn, or you know somebody has a problem with porn, when it comes to your business, you do have a problem, and that is how do you get your message into the mainstream conversation of the people who potentially could be customers of yours. And just like XXXchurch.com found themselves in the middle of that pattern, how could you take your business, taking that same model, and find a way to put your ads in and put your business right in the middle of the stream of conversation that would catch people kind of in a place like this? Click, click, click. Hi, bet you thought you were coming here to look at porn. Nope, I'm here to help you with that problem, young man. All right, anyways, this is Garrett J. White. This has been another Business Breakthrough. I am the authentic entrepreneur, reminding you to be real, be raw, be relevant, most importantly to be authentic.